Hey guys, Ryan Magdziarz here from Winning International, and we're in St. Petersburg in Florida. I'm super pumped. I'm about to have lunch and then interview Elliott Hulse, one of the world's most recognized strength and conditioning coaches, someone who has changed the game on the way to approach health and fitness. With over 2 million YouTube subscribers and a heart of gold, I've got some questions that are going to challenge him a little bit cryptic to decode how he's been able to break through an element of serious pain to become such an influential thought leader around the world. So get excited because you're not going to expect what I'm going to ask him. Stay tuned and enjoy the interview. Guys, I'm super excited right now. I've just had an amazing lunch with one of my biggest heroes, Elliott Hulse, who has come here to join us. So really excited to go and have just a really authentic interview, going over some of the biggest, potentially some of the most painful experiences that Elliott went through and how he learned through that. And then we'll just see where the interview goes from there, because I know that Elliott's a man that follows his heart, and I'm sure this interview will be very interesting and go down a path that it was meant to go down. So super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us and jumping
Ryan.
on
Thank
the interview.
you. Yep, absolutely.
No worries at all. So before we get into any questions, I kind of wanted to bring up the fact that I noticed you're running a whole lot more dynamic meditation events and boot camps with Strength Camp, one of which I registered for in August. How are they going? How are they going for you at the moment?
Well, you're attending the second one.
Yeah.
So all I can do is give you my experience with the first one, and the first one went really well. It was appropriate. The people loved it, and I loved dancing with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do things that aren't as angular as a lot of the intellectual work that we do together. You go to most seminars and they've got the board set up and they've got the PowerPoint and people are taking notes. I want to wake people up out of that slumber. That's how we've been put to sleep. That's what we do in school. And shake and experience, move, breathe, be in your body. And when you're in your body amongst people that you can enjoy being around, it turns into a party.
Awesome. We just finished up and wrapped up our Vegas retreat with a bunch of our clients last week, and the whole theme of the week was celebration and love.
Yeah.
We probably spent half the week shaking our booties.
Right.
So it was really good
there's
fun.
a lot to be gained by that.
Yeah, 100%. So again, thank you so much for joining us. The first thing that I'd love for you to share with the guys that are watching along today is the moment that you went through and you believe was one of the lowest points, the most scary points, the most painful points in your life that led you to where you are today on your amazing journey.
Oh man, well, we spoke at length.
We did.
During lunch.
We did.
And one of the things that we alluded to is that it depends at what stage you're at. What level of consciousness are you seeking to expand to? What are you needing to overcome for your soul's progression at that time? At this time, we're always in a different place. So where a lot of us start out, where all of us start out, and many of us stay, is within the level of consciousness associated with survival.
Yes.
Right? Root chakra stuff, finances, can I survive?
Yes.
Do I have what it takes to survive? Do I belong? Do I deserve to survive?
Yes.
So it's very much tied to feelings of self-worth, but it shows up in our world as the pursuit for financial abundance.
Sure.
Right. So there are challenges that level of consciousness that many of us are currently working through. Right? You've transcended that at a young age.
Yes.
That's an amazing achievement, and you've got lots to offer to young people. Or when I say young, I mean those who haven't achieved what to them is a comfortable financial situation.
Sure.
So you teach, and that's why you make these videos and you do the things that you do. So at the level of consciousness that I was associated with that, of course, there were all the material fears, right?
Yes.
What do we worry about? I have family, so can I put food on the table? Can I provide for my family? That's a big part of one of my driving forces. And there were times when you feel like you can't make it happen. We had gone into our young adulthood, like many Americans do, with tremendous amount of debt, and I built up even more debt. Yes. So when you're $90,000 worth of debt and you're hoping to get on top of a hill one day, you're coming from survival, meaning like I got to put food on the table, but yet I have high aspirations.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
So is there an example of a point where in that phase of your life, striving for survival, you would describe as being your lowest of lows that the guys watching could kind of relate to?
Well, I mentioned being $90,000 in debt, and it's probably more because of a mortgage.
Yeah, wow.
Well, we decided that we're going to pay it off. I don't have a regular income. My gym if you've watched my videos, this is when my gym was on the south side. I wasn't YouTube famous. It was going to be challenging to pay off this debt, but I was determined to pay off this debt so that I can, if you have baggage, if you've got anchors, it's very difficult to rise. So I knew that this was something I was destined to do.
Yes.
And it looked like coming up with about $3,000 a month that I could pay towards these settlements, agreements with these companies to pay them off. Awesome. I don't have $3,000 a month, but I have faith and I've got a process.
Yes.
Right? You need a little bit of both. You have the faith that it can be done, and you have to have a process, which was, hiring consultants to help put me on a plan, ritual. So every month I had to come up with that.
Was this when you invested $18,000 in online mentoring?
That's a part of the debt.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that was a part of the
debt.
Yeah,
I built up a part of the debt of $90,000 plus is the credit cards that I put $5,000 courses on.
Yes.
I studied internet marketing at the ground level, the seedling level, right?
Yes.
Very early on. This was like 2006, 2007. So that allowed me to plant seeds, but I had to make a sacrifice.
You mentioned that for you, it was never a struggle. You went through pain, temporary pain that could be perceived as pain for someone striving for survival because you're in a place of uncomfort temporarily. But you also mentioned that there was never a doubt that you pushed through it. Would you say that was the biggest learning that you had from going through those struggles for survival financially? Or is there another learning that you got from that experience?
Well, this is one that I talk about extensively in my videos. You have to have courage.
Yes.
You have to have courage. Do the thing in order to have the power. That's what that means. So the fear is there. Of course, we're always fearful that we can't make it happen, but you do it anyway. That's the point here. There is really no true safety and security. Yes. There's only potential. There's only what you could become. There's only what you could achieve.
Yes.
So you bet on that. You don't bet on the fear. You're given an opportunity to bet on yourself. Most people bet against them. Well, I don't want to say most because I'm pleased to meet young men like you. I don't want to say shocked because I'm not shocked.
Yes.
But there are people that are doing it, that are allowing themselves to ascend, to grow, to be who they need to be, to experience what they need to experience for their soul's progression on earth right now. And then there are those who let the heaviness of fear, doubt, anxiety, and depression not allow them to move forward. They let fear rule.
Yes. So this next question is going to be one that I'm probably most excited to hear the gems that you're going to pull out with in terms of the answers. But if you were to go back right from the start and be born as baby Elliot again, however you had the wisdom that you have now to take back as a child, what would 3 main qualities be that you'd want to be born with again to take throughout your life, to be given a head start? If there were 3 kind of attributes or ways to look at the world or qualities, what would they be and why?
Well, I wouldn't be interested. Because you have to understand that the journey is the goal.
Yes.
The journey is the process. I'm learning things in this lifetime that I need to learn. And if you can put yourself in that position and do it exhilaratingly, enjoying the entire process,
yes, you're
going to take new wisdom with you to the next life. So all I'm doing is smiling about how wise I'm going to be when I come back.
Yes.
I don't give a shit about the old me. The old me is the new me. And it wouldn't be the new me if I didn't travel that same course. So I wouldn't tell him nothing. I'd smile, I'd sit back and smile and say, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, awesome. So it's more so about accepting that your journey is going to allow you to evolve and learn and become who you need to be. So you don't want to tamper with that because that's the point of life.
No, that's the exhilarating part of life. That's the tension. That is the dance. That's feeling life. That's feeling through life.
Yes.
Why would you want to take that away?
What do you think the 3 biggest, most important factors would be for any guys watching to live that amazing life?
Well, how many of my videos have you watched?
147.
That's quite a bit. I guess that's all right. You haven't got the full
Roughly.
gamut.
Yes.
Well, what are 3 videos, and what are the lessons in those videos that I shared
Great
that have
reframe.
added to your life?
Yeah, great reframe. I think one was the journey. One was, which is a bit of a funny one, the angry pressing video. Where you and Chris from the gym.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it was prearranged or it was off the cuff.
that was as spontaneous as it gets.
Go out into the street. Definitely one of my favorite videos. Have a bit of a comp
Yeah.
to see who can angry press. And Chris gets himself up, ready to go. And,
Yeah.
Versus you, and obviously you were more physically fit at the time, and killed him. But what I actually took a lot from that video. I mentioned to you at lunch. I love that video from a point of view of it was fun. Like I loved watching it because it was natural, it was authentic, it was hilarious. Just skipping around there after you'd killed it with the angry presses, but it was fun. It was you living in the moment, being spontaneous. So if I could take a takeaway from that, it would be spontaneous. Us being here today is being spontaneous. I mean, we've come from the other side of the country to be here with you today. So it's 100% I would take that. And another one of my absolute favorite videos is the transcendence rep.
There's a powerful lesson there.
Yeah, real powerful. And anyone that hasn't watched this video, essentially it's Elliot howling in his gym, going through a point and a threshold of pain past where his mind thinks he can go, not just to get the physical gains from that transition, from that extra effort that goes through getting through that threshold, but the mental and spiritual gains that comes from stretching yourself past what you thought was possible physically. And when I was interviewing Lewis the other day, coincidentally, he was talking about fitness and your body being so connected to your level of success because you get the opportunity to set the tone for what you do in every other area of your life by pushing yourself in the gym. And I've listened to that same recording over and over and over again because it's motivating. It's authentic, but every single morning I personally do this ritual where I get on the ground. It's either push-ups, a lot of the time it's push-ups, but I'll be shouting 4 empowering statements that are the most symbolic for me to evolve myself on that particular day, and I'll shout them over and over again while I'm pushing myself past what I think is possible. So
That's
I'll
great.
get to the end, I'll have a pump-up song on in the background, and I'll push myself. I can't do push-ups anymore physically. So my rep range gets lower and lower and lower, and I'm just here like kind of just almost vibrating. However, for me, it's going, you know what, Ryan, if you can do that, then you can tackle whatever else has to be done in the day. And that's what I got from your transcendence rep video. So that was really cool. And I think the next one that I really admired was your video. I can't remember the name of it, but the theme of it was that you have to be willing to push to get shit done. The hustle is real. And obviously you can take that from an approach of flow, but this video was going through, and it started off with you waking up and doing some breathing exercises in your room. Then you go down and cook.
Right. Successful people do what they have to do, whether they feel like it or not.
Exactly, whether they feel like it or not. And that was an awesome video. It pretty much showed the day in the life of what you do for most of the day, which was hustle. Like, you work hard, not only with work, but with family, with health, with mindset, and you've got your kids. I really, really, really like that because it shows, I believe that because I help coaches grow their businesses, I honestly believe that someone that puts their hand up and says, I want to be a role model for others, needs to be a role model for themselves first. And we were speaking about that at lunch as well. And that's exactly what you did in that video. You were living it, you were breathing it, and you were showing it. And everyone that watched it, including me, got that takeaway because it was real and it was authentic. So great reframe with the question to get me to answer it for you.
Yeah.
They're definitely 3 of the biggest.
Cool. Well, then those are probably 3 appropriate lessons for the people watching this.
So what I'd love to do is take a little bit of a step into what I believe the people watching may not have spoken about too much up until this point, only based on the fact that for me, it's quite a an area in my life of growth that I'm not too in tune with, or as in tune with as I'd like to be, which is kind of more of the spiritual side of things. And this is based on the development that I've seen you go down over the last couple of years of meditation, of mindfulness, of self-love and gratitude and presence. For the guys that are watching, if you could give them a little bit of a overview, if they're not really into that stuff at this point, but are kind of open to the idea of exploring more of the spiritual world, if you could give them a little bit of an overview of your interpretation of what that means and how it could improve someone's life, watching if they haven't delved into it yet, how would you go about that?
The lessons that you described from the videos that you that resonated with you,
Yes.
right? They're all very related to the material world,
Yes, I agree.
right? Lifting weights past that transcendent moment, right? Doing what you have to do in order to create value in the world. It's very obvious in that video. I'm cooking for my children, I'm training people at the gym, I'm working at the computer. And the first one that you brought up was what?
Angry pressing.
Angry pressing.
Fun, spontaneity.
Right.
Yeah.
We needed to make a video. We've got a lot of aggressive energy in ourselves. He and I, not only was I his teacher, but he and I trained together and competed with each other a lot of times. We did competitions together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
camaraderie.
Right. There's a lot of work there between Chris and I.
Yeah.
What better way to show it on camera and enjoy ourselves while doing it? So
Theme was, you're right, transcendence rep, you got to do what you got to do, even if you don't feel like it. Is very kind of push, stretch, growth orientated. And when I watched those videos and took those takeaways, it was a couple of years ago when I was going through that, I want to make it.
Aggression.
Exactly.
Right.
So now I'm kind of going through a point in my life where I'm trying to transition more into a place of flow, of gratitude, of love.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the same lessons you learn when you project yourself into the material world, into the dust,
Yes.
you carry with you to explore other parts of yourself. Those are very extroverted things, lifting weights and doing those things to create value in the world. But there's also an aspect of you that craves to be acknowledged and conquered also.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to have courage, right? To get up in the morning and do what you have to do to create the value that you're supposed to create in the world. But it also takes courage to detach from that so that you can go on another very challenging journey, carrying the same tools with you inward to the introverted part of you.
Yeah.
We're not all out here. We have a soul. We have a connection to a subtle intelligence some people call God. So why not explore? Why not continue to grow stronger by exploring in order to integrate other parts of yourself? If you can see those parts of yourself. We spoke before about how we have been led to believe in many aspects, depending on who you are, where you come from, but one of the ways we've been taught to believe about who we are and how to live this life is that when you die, you die.
Yes.
Well, that's not resourceful to anybody. That's not resourceful to you, because then how much are you going to respect yourself when it all ends anyway?
Exactly.
How much are you going to respect the planet when I'm going to die anyway? How are you going to respect future generations, be a king, create generativity? How are you going to heal the sins of our parents and our grandparents and 7 generations before us by becoming stronger versions of ourselves? This all requires a spiritual connection. This all requires deep intimacy with the capital S self. This requires an introverted attitude towards the world, meaning I'm willing to detach. I had 1 million subscribers and I was on my way down.
Yeah, wow.
And I shut off, and I shut off, and I shut to as long as I want now.
Awesome.
Because I acknowledge and I nurture my soul,
Yes.
my introverted part of myself, the part of myself that makes sure that I wake up first thing in the morning in order to walk with the sunrise. I wake up and I traverse this whole path here and I rise with the sun. That's very meaningful on multiple levels.
Yes.
To be walking to rise with the sun is very spiritual.
Yes.
So there are religions where and practices where you connect with your soul by watching the sun. The word soul, S-O-L, is sun in Latin. There's a lot of deep spiritual connection with our relationship to the sun. We spoke about circadian rhythms before and how you're right now it's 2 a.m. for you where the sun is normally in a different place right now.
Yep.
Right? There's a connection to your soul, S-O-L, but S-O-U-L, that is awry. So it's all it's very physical in that way, physiological, but it's metaphysical, meaning that like, do you respect yourself enough? Do you love yourself enough to follow the soul? Will you be courageous enough? Will you transcend who you think you are and what you think you should be doing in order to walk with the soul? These kids are having fun. They're all like my daughter's age. I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah, okay, cool. So for the guys that are watching, I can see this video as an opportunity for them to acknowledge that introverted side of them exists. For me,
well, it's so obvious that it's there. You might be ignoring it, and that's usually what ends up happening. We ignore it until it knocks us on our ass. This is usually when we end up with disease. I talked about injuries.
Yes.
Right, you're going to be woken up, and you could stay asleep if you'd like, but life is just going to get more painful.
Sure. Yeah. So for the guys that are watching, because this is huge, by the way, this is something that I see as being the most underrated ideology in the world, because it's so covered up by the way that society portrays what you should want and what you should connect to, which is those extroverted things. So for the guys that are watching, my mission for this video is to connect them to an opportunity to take a step, to take a leap, and start to connect to that other version of themselves, that can make them feel what I would describe as being pure bliss and amazingness every single day. One thing that I find really, really interesting is, again, only because I had this interview, I think it was yesterday, with Lewis, he was also talking about the biggest stretch for him on a daily basis or consistently, but the thing that makes the biggest difference in his life that he still gets done is the introverted stuff. It is the meditation, it is the spiritual side of things, and he knows that it's going to make such a big difference, but because up until this point in his life, it has been the thing that has been least present and he's least used to, it's hard to get into play. So what would you recommend as like a great starting point to start to connect to that introverted part of yourself that's practical, that the guys that are watching that could connect to, that maybe you did when you started connecting more to that side of you, to transition into it?
Well, what are you willing to do?
For these guys, it might be a small step.
Whatever you're willing to do on a consistent basis that feeds your soul. Did you grow up learning how to play the piano and it felt good to you, but now you're chasing success? Would it feel good to play the piano again for a little while? Right?
Yeah.
What feels good to you? What is a ritual, a bliss ritual, but a real soul nurturing one? I'm not talking about, I have a good time when I drink with my buddies.
Yes.
No, an introverted one, one that only you understand, that you can make love to and you can be alone with it. For some of us, it includes exercise.
Yeah.
For me, I've been doing a lot of yoga. I like to be in myself when I'm performing those movements and connecting with my breath. I like to meditate.
Do you think it's more, because those tasks, I can imagine a lot of the guys or girls that are watching might do them, but I can see a big factor behind this being the intention that you have when doing it. For example, you might want to do yoga to get a hot body, which is external,
Right.
but then you might want to do it to nurture your body
That's why I ask, what does your soul want? What do you want to do without any reason behind it?
Yeah.
I'm not doing yoga because, see, for years I exercised for entertainment.
Yes.
I made all those videos of me screaming and yelling and tossing things and, right. I don't exercise for entertainment anymore. I'm not wanting to entertain anybody with my exercise. I want to exercise because it feels good to my body. I feel more alive. I feel more awake. So that's why there aren't going to be videos of Elliot doing yoga. It'd be boring to watch. Plus, exercise nurtures me. I want to be alone with it. I want to be introverted with it. Stay out of my exercise life.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, you got to have some courage to love yourself. That's really what it is. It's a matter of loving yourself.
Yes. And it's so funny that we're using a word courage, which society usually associates with big, risky, external things. But sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is do what society perceives to be feminine, which is to love yourself up. That's awesome. Awesome.
Well, you know, the word courage is prefixed by C-O-R, which is core, where we get the word corazon, which is heart.
Yeah, wow.
Courage is very much linked to love. It's very much linked to your heart.
And on that note, the thing that I love most about heart and love and gratitude is that it's impossible to stay in a state of fear when you're connected to your heart. And so what I used to do, let's say before I had to do something I was scared to do, let's say it was a sales call in my business, or it was going to talk to a girl, is I'd want to try to externally rev myself up and get this courage. It was an external thing. Now what I do before I've got something nervous, before coming and speaking to you today, I was a little bit excited, nervous. I meditate and I get grateful, and it rids all elements of fear because it's coming from that core place. Yeah, that's awesome. So cool. All right, so there's a couple of random questions that I'd like to ask, and I feel they'll be really beneficial for the guys listening to get some answers from. Just kind of like short 10 to 30 second answers, or whatever flows is fine. If there was one task that you found a struggle, in particularly that you would do on a regular basis from the journey of, let's say, being 14 years old, or even 18 years old, but in the past at an earlier stage of you, an activity that you did consistently because you knew it was going to create success, but it was painful, but you still did it. What was an example of a task that you used to do consistently to get to where you are today, even though it was painful? And you can interpret painful however you like.
Well, during the heat of my battles, I was a professional strongman. I literally beat my body into success. I've got the injuries to prove it, but I've also got the momentum to ride me now. You see? So for me, it was exercise and consistently challenging myself and pushing harder with what I could physically do. I externalized my courage, my discipline, my commitment, my devotion through lifting weights and stones and flipping tires, and it manifested itself in my soul, which allowed me to take steps in the directions of my dreams also.
Awesome. What are you most grateful for in your life right now?
Oh, everything.
Everything.
Right, we spoke earlier about how we only want the sweet and not the sour.
Yes.
Well, that's a losing game. That's a losing battle.
Yes.
So to love everything means to love the sweet, of course, yes, all this sweetness in my life. I told you I love my children. I love when they run into the front door and hug me. I love laying in the hammock with them and kissing and snuggling with them and looking at the beautiful things that they're creating and doing. But also, right, but I love that because that's the side of the coin that comes with the other side. So when we start picking and choosing about what I'm grateful for without realizing that it's your challenges, it's your struggles, it's the shadow aspect that is making you whole, that is allowing you to individuate, that you're learning how to be with and appreciate. Well, now you're growing stronger, and it's in all areas of your life.
I feel like the simple realization that you can be grateful for everything, a phrase that I like to use a lot is, that's a gift. It's a gift. It's a blessing. We spoke before about every single wound is also a womb, a rebirth, an opportunity for a distinction or an evolution. You know, one thing that I try to do as often as possible is reframe the meaning of things and try to just get myself as much in tune with what I'm going to grow out of something and start to love the pain as well as the gain. That's the topic of this whole kind of interview series / podcast is, you know, what is the pain that people have been willing to go through to get the gain? But if you can actually love the pain and the gain, then you've already won. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Awesome. If there was one thing that, because I know most of the time you're in best version of Elliot, you're in heart-centered version of Elliot. We all relapse though. There are times where we fall. Myself, you know, I know that you have been training your mind to stay connected to your heart as often as you possibly can. However, if you do slip back into head version of Elliot or what you would consider to be ego Elliot, what do you fear in that worst version, that state? What do you fear in the world?
Oh, well, that's it. When you're operating out of fear, when you're operating you're in the space of fear. When you're vibrating with fear, everything can become fearful.
Yes.
The whole point is to stay out of that vibration.
Yes.
Because even your blessings start looking scary to you. Because you start thinking separation and what you don't have. All kinds of anxiety. So it's a matter of staying out of the vibration of fear.
Okay. And what do you do to stay out of that vibration of fear?
Be conscious of it. You got to know when you're afraid.
Yep.
You got to know when your body is speaking to you and saying that this is baggage, this is old vibration, this is stuff that you're growing up through.
Yes.
If you're unconscious of that vibration in your body, you're unconscious with the way your body's speaking to you, you're unconscious with your breathing, you're unconscious with the way your heart feels.
Yes.
Well, then you can't make conscious decisions about the fear coming up or any emotion that comes up.
Yes.
That's why I do dynamic meditation and teach it, so that you could see all the shit that you're not looking at, so that you can move past it.
Yes. On the topic of dynamic meditation, I know you're looking to run more of those events as long as it doesn't disrupt you from your self-love and your own practices. If the guys were watching could know more about what you believe the future holds for you in terms of dynamic meditation, are you going to be doing more of those events? Are you wanting to spread that message out to the world? How do you see the vision of dynamic meditation affecting people wanting to grow themselves around the world?
The same way I saw teaching people how to lift barbells.
Yeah, wow. So the evolution of Elliott Hulse and what you stand for, what you give in the way of love, in the way of learnings, is going to, I know it will.
We could only go higher.
Yes.
Remember we spoke about when you got introduced to the barbell and your weightlifting.
Yeah,
you
when I was
were
younger.
introducing yourself to a version of yourself, a part of yourself.
Yes.
That allows you to be a warrior, that allows you to have the success that you're having right now.
Yes.
Right. So the intention is exactly the same. I may have been unconscious, but I quickly became conscious of the vibrations I was sending out through my videos by doing angry pressing.
Yeah.
I'm teaching men how to be aggressive, how to own themselves through their bodies,
Yes.
and how to embody character traits that will provide success. Well, active meditation is a stepping stone to getting in touch with your emotions, getting in touch with your heart, getting in touch with the vibrations in your body.
Yes.
Right? Being attuned to the subtleness of it. When most boys, some of them, they need a slap in the ass, but a good portion of the ones that come to me that I see, they know how to awaken themselves through weightlifting because that aggression is there. Right? A lot of us got daddy issues too. All of us do. It's a part of the game here. Prove yourself, go hard, get bigger, get stronger, let it all out. So you're awakened to parts of you exercise. We spoke about exercise versus exorcise. Well, exorcise is the emotional release, is the catharsis associated with a particular kind of action. What if, once you've conquered that,
Yes.
and you've used the gifts in other areas of your life, so now you own it, explore other parts of yourself.
External,
Maybe
internal.
there is some sadness there. In fact, there's a guarantee that there's sadness there.
Of course.
Remorse, grieving that will surface at the right time for each one of us. There's joy, there's repressed joy and feelings of sensuality that are there. Why would, maybe you want to try that out. Maybe you want to feel that vibration in your body. So when you ask about the evolution, I'm not doing anything different than I've always done. I'm far more conscious of it now, of what I'm actually doing. And I'm just providing more opportunities for us to get in touch with more parts of ourselves that have been cast into the shadow.
Awesome.
So that we can grow stronger and empower one another.
That next evolution. Awesome.
Yeah. And you're ready. That's why you're going. So I can't focus on those who are not ready. You asked me earlier about, what about those people who can't follow you with where you're going? Man, we did that already. That's okay. Those videos will always be there.
Yes.
And I'm glad. But there are those that rise with you. And you have to cater to those, serve those people, bless those people too.
Yes.
And by being the strongest version of myself, yourself, there are going to be those that resonate with what that looks like. There'll probably be less and less as you go along, which is a part of the journey, and that's fine. But you're refining. You're getting closer and closer to, people who. I love the fact that you lifted and that your favorite video is angry pressing.
Yeah, that was for the humor.
Yeah, well, hey man, if it makes you laugh, that's a vibration too.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. Right. But you're young. I discovered active meditation and bioenergetics when I was around 24. It awoke me to something in myself that I basically set aside for 10 years. That along with several other things that I'm now picking back up again because I know the power in them and their ability to awaken myself and to awaken others. But go hard. I went hard with the weightlifting. I became a professional strongman. I went hard in the world by creating abundance for myself and my family. Do that. But at some point, all of us are confronted with, what do I want to do next? Is this all worth it? You mentioned having a level of success and saying, well, was it all worth it? Yeah, damn right it was fucking worth it. You did it. Good. Now you're in a place where you can explore, try other things. Doesn't mean you're going to go another way. It just means you're trying your feet, trying your hands at things, putting your feet in things. And what's the best thing to put your hands into? What's the best thing to put your intention into, but what's happening inside here?
Whatever for you feel, from my point of view, the best thing to do next is what your body is kind of knows it needs to do, but maybe slightly the unknown, maybe slightly uncomfortable.
It's always uncomfortable when we ascend.
Yeah, definitely.
So we invite it, we create it. That's what the opportunity is, to get uncomfortable.
So for the guys watching here right now, if you are watching and you're listening and what we're saying and what Elliot's saying for you speaks to a version of you that you know's kind of been waiting to come out. What I hope to do, but I can't control, nor can Elliot, is that it awakens a version of you that may be different to what you've done so far. But you need to treat as an opportunity. You need to own that and make the decision that you're offering people the opportunity to come on a journey with you by leading them to a direction that is a stretch for them and was a stretch for you. But they need to make the decision to come forth. I need to make a decision to tackle what I'm uncomfortable to do. And I find it funny because sitting down for me is uncomfortable. Doing nothing for me is uncomfortable. Meditation's uncomfortable. Gratitude's uncomfortable. But I do it every morning, and I'm working on getting that version of me out, the internal. And I can tell you guys, just from an experience point of view, everything in my life becomes richer. The way that I feel, the experiences that I get to have, the opportunities that come forth, speak to my heart, and my association to things are richer because I'm choosing from a conscious level to enjoy the moments, the ups and downs, the pain, the gain. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you, Elliot.
I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us at the interview today. You're an absolute legend.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I couldn't appreciate your journey more and being a leader for the guys that are watching and myself and for the people around the world. If there was one last thought, last message to the guys that are watching that they could connect to, that you want to cast out there, what would that last thought be?
You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You might not be willing to look at what you need to do, but a part of you knows what you need to do. Your capital S self, your authentic self. And you could choose to do it, or it'll be laid upon you. And wherever you end up is exactly where you're supposed to be for this lifetime.
So true.
Enjoy it, embrace it, love it, celebrate it, and move on.
Awesome. So final question for you, Elliot, is on the topic of resistance or serious resistance and pain in someone's life, breaking through to a point of gain. If there was somebody out there, who would it be that you believe I should speak to or would be good to speak to about their journey? Who's someone that you kind of look at their story and go, wow, that is some seriously quick evolutions of that person's self? Who comes to mind that you believe's got a crazy story from pain to gain?
I really liked hearing 50 Cent's story by Robert Greene in the 50th Law.
Awesome.
Now, I don't know where he is with things right now in his life. I see his Snapchat. I see his Instagram. He's still popping bottles and stuff. He's quite a bit older than me. But I watched 50 Cent go from rhyming on cassette tapes and selling it out the back of his car. He got on mixtapes.
Yeah, wow.
He got on mixtapes and he had an angry poetry and he was fearless. And I grew up, about that same time. I remember hearing him on, I think, DJ Clue mixtapes and, hearing him diss Big Pun. And Robert Greene did a great job of telling his story like a modern day cowboy. And, I don't know how I would connect with him on a heart-to-heart level, but I admire, and I would love to just see, how the guy operates in his mind, which the book offers quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, we'll organise that. We'll get 50.
That'd be interesting.
We'll get that interview with 50. Great suggestion. Thank you so much for today. Welcome,
Yeah.
my man.